Hi everyone on the stream. This is Currency. Now let me start the audio also. Hello. Welcome to Currency episode 95. This podcast episode and Twitch stream. 2 in 1. Because I'm a genius and I am the first person to have this idea definitely anywhere in the world. That's what you say, right? Like if you ever watched Impulsive, for Logan Paul, he says his podcast is #1 in the world. I have the #1 podcast in the world that is a podcast episode and a Twitch stream, both of those at the same time, and it feels really good to be able to put that on. It feels magnificent. How do I feel today? Today I feel like everybody else, I guess. It's kind of weird, like you can look at different periods in your life as different lifetimes altogether. Like if you want to be really honest about it. Okay, so I'm playing Fall Guys in this episode, and because so far in the video games I played, this is the easiest one probably to play that I'm actually playing the game, because the Friday the 13th one is alright, but it's kind of, I don't know enough about it to actually play it at all while I'm talking. But I feel like you can look at different periods in your life like they're their own lifetime. I have to concentrate on this one here. I'll just talk about the game, like, because it's a Twitch stream too. Did I mention that? This is actually a podcast episode and a Twitch stream. This isn't the easiest one here. I'm doing well so far. It's big fans. Big fans, I'm not very good at this one, typically. I've failed at this one multiple times. Oh god! I just really want to succeed, as it turns out. As it turns out, I just want to be able to win. On camera, for my podcast and Twitch stream. I mean, I want to look like a winner, I want to act like a winner. And I can't if I keep panicking on big fans. This game is all about not spazzing out and not being like, oh my god, I'm so far behind. And then when you feel like you're behind, you just start to make more mistakes that you don't need to. Oh my fuck. That was so unlucky. Oh well, I guess I spawned where I needed to. What I'm saying is that, oh, this game is all about being patient. Where you would think that you had to do more than just be patient. Of course. I know, but it's hard to concentrate while I'm doing something else. I guess that's part of the fun of it. And like you have to do it kind of mindlessly rather than like really focus on the challenge. Like it's easier to jump over spinning beams if you're not really thinking about it, but if you're like, oh my god, the beam is coming. Yeah, of course. Of course I fail at big fans, because I'm just a big fucking loser. God damn it. I wanted to prove once and for all that I could finally win at something, so that everyone I knew could be proud of me. But as it turns out, once again, I just failed to qualify. It's almost like this game is an analogy for the race of life. And it's the race of life that I am perpetually not qualifying at. Because I'm just a lowlife. Right, so I'm going to start a new game. But anyway, it would have been sick if I could have qualified so that I could then take some time after the qualifying to talk about whatever I'm going to say, but you're getting a slice of life, specifically my life. So let me tell you about this podcast, and this podcast is called Currency. I will make it at least 100 episodes, and then I don't know how much longer I will go after that, but it's kind of like, I'm aiming to make it into a currency. I will be able to do that. I'm making the podcast into a currency, by the way. I haven't really explained this. I maybe hinted at it if you've heard a lot of episodes of it. I don't want to I want to sound bitter or anything like that. I don't want to turn anybody away, but I'm trying to make this podcast into a currency. I will be able to do that because as far as I'm going to be able to do that right now, I'm going to release NFTs that are like the official NFT of the episode, that they're like kind of representative of the episode, but not completely. Like, I originally had the idea that I'm just going to make the whole episode into an NFT and make those available for sale, but then I realized like you can actually be more creative than that. Then you have to give away the whole episode. So what I'm gonna do is make NFTs that are the official NFT of the episode, and there'll be different things like images, drawings that probably somebody else will make, but that I'll own the rights to, so that they'll look appealing. Because if it was just something that I made, I'm not a good enough graphic designer that I would be able to make anything that looked really cool as an NFT, probably. But like, I'll release some images, NFTs. I'm not gonna make this one. I'm about to fly off. Here we go now. Move, you idiots. So I'm gonna release NFTs for each episode, not right away, but just over time. I will release them over time. It could be very many years before the official NFT is released for every single episode. But the premise is that if the podcast becomes more popular over time, then there's more interest or more demand for NFTs that I would be releasing in the future. Obviously, there's no telling whether or not this podcast becomes more popular over time. You may not know the way that art works, is that, like, what's important is that you just make something, and it actually, anything that you make has the potential to be found out later on. Like, as long as you made it, then there's kind of this whole eternity of time for people to be able to discover it. So, like, I don't really have hopes very high that any of this podcast would boom or anything like that. Like, I'm not doing anything insane enough, and people wouldn't believe in my authority enough that it's like, holy shit, this is a great contribution to the world. But it's kind of more based on, like, if I become popular in the future for other things I make, like, then inevitably there'd be more value on this podcast, like, just because of I made it. So, like, potentially based on other things I do in the future, or if just my overall career in the entertainment business goes well, then NFTs I release as the official NFT of each episode would be, would actually end up being worth something. So it's like I made identity, and so whatever views I get for that podcast also would contribute to value of NFTs for this one, you know, because it would ultimately be like, they would only ever have value if people saw value in me, which they don't now. And, you know, there's not a lot of promise for a degenerate like me to that necessarily anyone would deem me to be worth listening to at any point, you know. But that's the game of life. You just throw your hat into the ring, and then you check it out to see if, like, hey, did anybody like it? But it's kind of like, overall, there we go. Speed Circuit, we're doing Speed Circuit now on Fall Guys. I'm pretty good at Speed Circuit. I'm actually, I mean, it's really one of my better ones, so I qualify for the third round after getting my ass handed to me at Big Fans. No worries, because I brought it back with Speed Circuit, and when I dominated Speed Circuit, then it was made known that, like, wow, maybe I belong. Maybe I am a fall guy. And that's what it's about, is like, make yourself available for people. Like, the more things that you make, that's the more that you are being vulnerable, really. That's vulnerability, is just creating something and saying it, even if it's just a Facebook post. That's vulnerability. Like, vulnerability comes pretty easily, I would say. But it's like you make a podcast and you know, I'm just processing what is a good route to go. Like I have a different podcast that I want to plan. Like I do want to start a podcast where I have guests, but it's exclusively like guests. And that's what I'll do after this podcast. And I might continue this one for a while. I'm not really sure, or I might just end it at an even 100. And so I can make it more like a cryptocurrency, this podcast, if I'm able to fuck with the supply for each NFT, because you can actually make NFTs that are a supply of more than one. I don't know. So far, you can't do that on OpenSea, where OpenSea is like the most popular NFT creation platform. We're playing Hoverboard Heroes. This is like a notoriously difficult one. Get up, moron! Get up! Grab it! Alright, made it through that part of it. But, there are websites, as far as I know, where you can change the supply of an NFT to be more than one, even though technically speaking it's supposed to be just one because it's a non-fungible token, but because you can make a non-fungible token, make copies of it, since that's a possibility, people do that. And so, like, if I can fuck with the supply of any one NFT, let me not fuck this up part here. Yes, did it. I passed Hoverboard Heroes miraculously. I basically never passed that one. Like, I could make one NFT be 10, a supply of 10, and then make another one that's just 1. If you fuck with the supply of it, then you have, it becomes more like a cryptocurrency and less like an NFT the more copies of NFTs that you make. But it's like a true NFT if there's only one of them, because then it is one non-fungible token. But literally, you can make more of them, and that renders them fungible, defeating the name itself. So, like, I guess maybe they should have a different word. Because, like, if you increase the supply of a non-fungible token, then it is a fungible token, clearly. Okay, now they gave me Fruit Shoot. For God's sake. Fruit Shoot is impossible. They just lined up all the most impossible ones here. Fruit Shoot is very difficult. Alright, Fruit Shoot, I mean... Okay, we gotta dodge. I just gotta give myself a lot of freedom of movement here. I can't be like a statue. I can't freeze up. Oh, I get nailed. Get run directly over by an orange. Okay, here we go. Stressful situation. Why is everybody else so good at this? I don't really understand it. Oh, no. No, are you kidding me? I basically ran directly through the entire thing. I got hit by one object, and that was my undoing. You can't make one mistake in Fruit Shoot, because they're taking the top 4, and it's impossible. That's great. That's probably the best race I've even ever run at Fruit Shoot. I just fell, ultimately just fell right down the Fruit Shoot on that one. Can you run Fruit Shoot without falling down the Fruit Shoot? Without the Fruit Shoot being your demise? I don't think you can. Once again, the Fruit Shoot wins. If a day doesn't go by where a fucking Fruit Shoot isn't dominating. For Christ's sake. Sorry for saying so many swear words. I'm sorry for using the Lord's name in vain. But the Lord, you know. It's just that, I can change up the supply, and then that makes it more like... Because a cryptocurrency is just a non-fungible token, but with a massive-ass supply, really. And a non-fungible token is a cryptocurrency, but with a most minimal supply possible. And it has to do with being, it has to do with iconism. Icons. Being iconic. If you're iconic, then you're more simplified to one thing. Or like one-dimensional. Or it's kind of like finite as opposed to infinite. If you're iconic, you're more finite or more singular, I should say. Like you go in that direction, the direction of singular as opposed to the direction of infinite, like across the entire number line. I mean, if you're considering 0 to infinity on a spectrum, on one end of it is infinity, on the other end is 0. You can go towards the 0 end of it. If you're more iconic, or in other words, more identifiable, if you go to the infinite end, you're more unidentifiable. But I'm saying, like, iconic is... Like, Hello Kitty is iconic because it's always that same thing. And it's just like one, there's the brand, like, really identifiable. That's all that it is. It's just an image of Hello Kitty. My question is, how did Hello Kitty begin? Like, who pitched that, you know? They're like... I don't know how you end up being on the, like, the board of directors. Like, who's the ground floor investor for Hello Kitty? You would have to be pure evil to know that that was going to work. But they're pitching it and they're just like, hey, there's a... Well, here's this image of a cat, and, it's just sorta gonna be everywhere, so get in while you can. Is that how it started out? I mean, some people are just... How would anybody know that that was gonna work? I mean, I guess they're not like, this is definitely gonna be everywhere, but that's probably what they had in mind, ultimately. They're probably like, well, maybe this will be everywhere. Hey, well, look, I got a picture of a cat here, and I got my fingers crossed, not gonna speak too soon, but potentially this picture of this cat is gonna be absolutely everywhere, so... But it's just kind of like when somebody makes a cartoon, what the fuck is wrong with them? Or, like, did Walt Disney draw Mickey Mouse, I wonder? And if so, he was like, he's telling his friends, like, hey, I've got this project I've been really excited about. Really excited about it. It's a mouse that I drew. Like, how do you convince anybody that that's anything? But he's like, this mouse that I drew is going to be, it's going to change the landscape of America. Like, why did nobody say, like, hey, you're out of your mind? That you're, like, you're going to introduce a mouse that you drew to the entire nation and act like, this is going to be a cornerstone of your legacy? Is this bullshit thing from your imagination? But that's like coming up with a character. Like, I guess that what I'm saying is if you come up with a character, it really has to be organic. And that's probably what was the case with, like, Mickey Mouse and Hello Kitty. Is just like, it was some organic thing rather than, like, really contrived, like... Somebody saying, hey, I really like to... I'm really good with making characters, like... You would probably... Oops, somebody pushed me off. Thanks, dude. And that's really perfect because, aren't we... No, is this the beginning? No. No, this is, like, the second round, I think. Oh, well. Gotta get out of here, but, it's just that like, Mickey Mouse is really horrible... When you think about it, like, everybody, I guess that we like Mickey Mouse, but it's kind of like, when you think about it, he's also horrendous, even though he's this lovable guy or whatever it is. Like, in reality, we don't actually have a relationship to Mickey Mouse. Like, in reality, nobody is friends with him. Like, Mickey Mouse has friends, maybe. But no one of us is friends with him. Like, in reality, I guess I have a hard time seeing that there's actually a connection between us and him. But we're all, like, yay, we love him, or whatever it is. But, and I'm not making a point about Disney or anything. I'm not making a political statement about them. I'm just saying just the mouse, like, when you think about it, he's actually fucking horrendous. In addition to, yeah, like, he's great. Mickey Mouse, yay. He's also fucking horrible. Additionally, like, if you really think about it, because it's like, especially at the point that you're, like, we're expected to like him. Like, well, realize also that he's bullshit. Like, we're not actually on board with this also, additionally to, yeah, we are on board with it, but, like, no, but really, he's, like, remember also that Mickey Mouse is fucking atrocious, too. Like, this is the #1 podcast and Twitch stream in the entire fucking world. I guess, I mean, if I'm really being honest, I guess I do have something here. As long as I'm behind it. Like, sometimes I don't believe myself to be doing the things that I'm already doing, you know, and that's just that imposter syndrome, but it's just like, I mean, that's just the way that the world spins, is that all that matters is that you show up, and then it's just that everything is really horrible anyway. Like, everything is horrible. If I really want to look at my life, I can be like, yeah, I've got all this great shit going on. Or, like, I'm gonna do this podcast, I have ideas for another podcast that I might do, and, like, people that are getting themselves involved with multiple podcasts, like the Chris D'Elia and Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub crowd. But it's kind of like almost a wannabe Kevin Hart, The Rock, where it's like, well, the more podcasts, the better. But in reality, it's like, you know, you really shouldn't make that many podcasts if it's just in the name of, like, here's another one. Then you're just becoming DJ Khaled. And how much weight, how much water, what do you say? Water does that guy hold anymore? I mean, it's gotten to the point where we're all like, DJ Khaled's just a meme. And we're like, what are you even saying anymore? But I'm saying how, like, you know, there's the perspective that, like, yeah, I have this shit going on, like, I have this idea for this other podcast that I'm about to launch, probably, and, I'm doing stand-up comedy and all this, but additionally to that, it is all, like, horrible, too, like, me, and, like, I'm, like, that I make a podcast where I just, I mean, it's great, you know. It's great. I don't want to, as long as I'm doing this, I really don't want to undersell myself any more than I usually do, like say that what I'm doing is crap or anything, so I'm trying to avoid doing that, so I'm hesitating as I'm speaking at this moment. So I'm not gonna, I guess I should not sit here and be like, this is why it sucks, this is why I'm hot. You ain't 'cause you're fly, you're hot 'cause I'm not. This is why you're hot. I dove out of the way of that rhino. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Double rhino attack. Hate it. I hate when that happens. I'm just saying how, like, you know, it's great, all these things I'm doing, or whatever. Or, like, this shit I'm excited about. But additionally, like, people don't need to see my face, or whatever. Wow, I'm really fucking this up towards the end. I really have one shot at this, if that. Okay, go close one. Second to last qualifying. No, it's cool, like, if I just relax and allow myself to say whatever for a minute rather than spaz out like, oh, I need to really produce something special here. If I just recognize more so that I'm, like, a degenerate rather than that I'm very special or very essential, then that actually helps me out in some regards. Like, obviously you don't want to be like, I'm a degenerate all the time. And I'm really not speaking to anybody but myself, because I don't really look at anybody else and declare like, oh, they might be a degenerate. But I'm just referring to myself that way if it's possible in a sort of endearing way, because like I mean, it's not endearing to be a degenerate, but it's like at least some little bit I am a little bit like that. It's kind of like I started off in life thinking I was very much more special, but then when you also consider the reality that like you aren't special, because I guess both of them are true, then if I'm gonna consider the one where it's like I'm not special and I'm not essential, then it's like then who I am as a character is kind of like a degenerate. Like, but if I'm special or something, then it isn't really like that. Like, I'm not saying that I'm that completely. But like, I have a dog, and like they shouldn't give dogs to degenerates like myself. But I'm just exaggerating, you know. Get up. I can't believe they gave me hoverboard heroes twice in a row. This is fucking madness. Get down. Get down there, moron. Get down there. Get on the hoverboard. Ah, jump. Made it. Alright, just got one more obstacle to go here. I'm saying how, like... I'm just making the point that people don't actually need to see my face, you know? Like, people don't actually need to hear from you. And so because of that reason... Like, all these people that are making multiple podcasts, I think you should just cut it out, because the world really only needs so much of you. You should find the balance between where these two realities I'm describing, where for me, like, one of them is, like... I'm talking about, like... If I'm talking about seeing myself the same as everybody else. Not that everybody else is a degenerate, but that's more, like, the degenerate side of things. And I'm probably not making a lot of sense, because degenerate's like a drastic word, so you're probably like, why are you calling yourself that? I'm just saying that, like, the side of things where you're more of a commoner or something, like, where you're seeing yourself like, I'm the same as everybody else, rather than that I'm very unique. Like, you should find the balance between being, like, socialism and capitalism, being a commoner and being an individual, collectivist versus individual. Find the balance between those two things. And, like, if you're not finding the balance between those two things, then you're, like, somebody who thinks that... I mean, maybe I'm preaching against too much individualism, like... Oh my god. Why do people have to try to screw with you in this? It's so annoying. People try to grab you so that throw you off so that you get hit by the beam that's passing by. They try to hold you in the same place. 2 of 6 eliminated. I got a shot at winning. I really hope I win live on camera so I can prove to everybody that I'm a winner. So everybody can see how good I am at things. Once and for all. And prove to all my friends and family, or anybody I've ever known, that I was worth it. You made a good choice in meeting me, because I am a winner. Because I won Fall Guys during my podcast / Twitch stream. Because I'm a very stable genius, as Donald Trump would say. Anyway, like... stop making a bunch of podcasts. Like... Especially when people that make 2 or 3 of them and then they're just crap. But, like... Don't make more of them. I think that people should just have their one thing more so. Rather than you're doing... Like, have a couple things going on in different areas of life. But, like, the world really doesn't need to see all that much of you. So stop being like, well, don't... Like, people make more podcasts in the name of, like, well, it's all about the hustle. It's all about the grind. Like, you do more work and then you get your name out there more. Do more things. Like, keep going. Like the Kevin Hart and, Okay, I gotta focus. I'm in the finals here. I gotta focus on this one. This one's just a race to the crown. Yeah, so I really just need to take on the, oops, I need to stop following the pack so much, probably. Oh, that blows. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, 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 AOC, okay, AOC, okay. CO Cortez, AOC Corcioso, Cortesco. Okay, that was a bad break right there. That was a bad break. Alright, that was a good break. Here we go. Here we go. Jump, moron. Jump. Nope, that's not gonna help. That's not gonna help. Ah, get up! Fuck! Well, I lost because of the mistake that I made. Oh, okay, I had no idea that that was happening. Somebody else grabbed the crown, and that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes maybe you're the most qualified, but somebody else just grabbed the crown. I mean, it is a matter of luck, and it is good to get yourself out there so that you become more successful over time. But like, all that Kevin Hart and The Rock bullshit is like, you guys go home because it's useless to do a bunch of hustling and grinding just in the name of increasing your own celebrity in an age where we're like, we don't like the celebrity of individual people. Like, it's just in the name of getting your own name out there. We're really tired of it. It's exhausting for the rest of us, even. Like, stop negatively influencing the rest of the world by proving to everyone how much of a hustler you are. It kind of bothers me, or it's just kind of sad that, like, people are, like, whatever it is. The people, I mean, the people, and it's just so tough when people are out there, and it's just like, they make it about that, and multiple people, overpopulation, you know. Is that an issue or is it not? I say nay. I say there are different things to worry about besides overpopulation. Like, overpopulation is way too obvious an answer. Like, you have to be as foolhardy, or simple-minded as like a Bill Gates or Klaus Schwab to be like, yeah, overpopulation's definitely going to happen. It's just like an easy thing to tell people to be afraid of because it's easy to understand the premise of that. The premise is that, well, you see that the population is exponentially increasing a ton, and so this is gonna, obviously we're gonna run out of resources at some point, and it's kind of just like easy to scare people with that, and that's like globalists of the world are using. It's easy to scare people with the weather for the same reason, and that's why globalists use the tool of global warming to scare people. It's because it's easy to tell the mass. There's certain things that it's easy to tell the masses are a problem, and they're just popular problems, when it's like the real problems. There's actually a lot deeper problems that, if you want to be honest about it, there's worse shit going on than like overpopulation or global warming. Like, for America, for example, just the infertility rate is decreasing, and that's always a sign of like that your civilization has already reached its peak, historically speaking. Like, I mean, it probably indicates, since our fertility rate is decreasing, or from what I've heard about it, we are at a rate of fertility where the replacement of people in America is not happening fast enough that we're even we're not replacing enough people that we would need. But like, that's, the fertility rate is decreasing, and that's a sign that your civilization is on a downward trend, besides other indicators that would say America is like past its prime. But like, you might worry that if America's past its prime, is the world past its prime? Probably not. Maybe we're about to enter an age where the Saudis, but that's probably really like a slur if you think about it. But that's, people do often use that kind of in a jokey way, like, the Saudis. That's a slur. It's kind of like saying Jew. where the name for them is what they are. But like a Saudi, yeah, Saudi is a ethnicity, I guess, maybe. But like they are doing some interesting things with all their money out in Saudi Arabia. It's possible that a different part of the world will now become the major megalithic civilization that leads the world besides America. Or like maybe America's cycle is ending and then they'll have another cycle in like 400 years. Like overall, I guess the real big philosophical question is like, are we going to make it as a world? I mean, if you're not like, I mean, if you're religious or not, I guess, or that's what, even if you're in a religion, sometimes that's what you're striving for is like progress for the entire world. And the question is like, is the world going to make it or not? Like, are they going to... And if you have my perspective, I would say that making it would be the same as we align ourselves with the other alien civilizations that exist in the universe. Like, are we ever able to find life besides ourselves? Evidentially, like, for certain, we find that and unite ourselves with it so that we can progress our seed, or like implant our seed in other civilizations, other worlds across the universe. Like, will we ever... Oops! Fucked that up because I was talking. Honestly, I would never screw that up if I wasn't distracted. And that's an excuse of sorts. I would say that making it is like we do make it to the other whatever in the galaxy or whatever, but problems, overpopulation. I forget what I was saying before I just decided to go off on that tangent. Like Klaus Schwab and whoever, they're talking about, it's just like global warming is an identifiable issue. It's easy for stupid people to understand it because the premise is just that the weather is really acting up, but you're making a giant demon out of the weather by saying that global warming, I mean climate change, it, as applies to the entire globe, is a major global issue and one that's like probably going to kill us all if we don't change our actions. It's weird to make the weather a giant global demon like that, I think, because I will hold to this idea about global warming for probably till the day I die. I mean, unless somebody changes my mind, global warming is just, I mean, climate change, as long as that's what we're calling it. That's just the weather. Climate change is just the weather. When the climate changes, the weather changes. But it's like climate control, like a climate happens also in your house. But if you're controlling the climate of your house, you're changing the temperature or the way that it feels. Like, oh, the climate is changing. It's even more vague than the weather, I guess, if I'm being honest. If we're being honest, it's even more vague than just the weather. But like, if you're worried about changes in the weather, you're just the local news, and that's just messages that come from a baby boomer generation, from a time gone by. Like, we're not gonna care about the local news, and we're not gonna give them power to make us all afraid of going outside into our neighborhoods. Like, the local news is pounding away at trust in our communities for years and years and years. They're taking the worst tragedies in people's lives and saying that they own them, that they have a right to control the narrative for the worst tragedies in people's lives. Like when there's a homicide, the local news is there to tell you that they own that homicide, and that and they're there to make a bunch of money off of people's worst thing, exploiting people and really doing more in the name of embarrassing them for the most horrible things that happened to them in their lives. And the local news is making a bunch of money off of that, and people don't seem to care about the integrity of that very much for some reason. This course is really difficult. And I've only played it like once or twice. It just requires lots of jumping. Oh my god. It's depressing to lose at the first one, because everybody else I see this is like a influencer that's playing Fall Guys. They never get it disqualified in the first round. I'm just a degenerate. I'm just a lesser. Like, I can't qualify in the first one every single time. Do I even belong? But you can scare everybody in the world if you make it like if you make the demon that everybody's supposed to be afraid of something that's as identifiable and obvious and understandable as the weather. Everybody knows what the weather. Overpopulation, but like what I was gonna say is that yes, there's like the Kevin Hart and whoever mentality, like hustle and grind. Is that one of those R&B black movies? Hustle and grind, like Salt and Pepper with a hard R. Salt and Pepper with, is it okay to say pepper with an R like that? I mean, maybe I shouldn't be saying Peppa at all, now that I think about it. Is that okay? That's like in yeah, it's racist to say Peppa. How do you even say Peppa without sounding like a bozo? How do you, like, that artist that is Peppa? That's gotta be hard to always live with that. Or people are like, people don't even want to go into saying your name because it sounds so awkward to say it. But I guess it's probably racist to mention Pepper. But that's like the movie, Don't Be a Menace. And whoever is in it. The one that died. Not Cedric the Entertainer, but not Toby Mac, Bernie Mac. I get Bernie Mac and Cedric the Entertainer confused. I guess that's the racist in me. But I remember it now that one of them died, like, oh, the living one. That's probably why one of them died, is so that make it easier for the rest of us to know the difference between the two, Bernie Mac and Cedric the Entertainer. But Bernie Mac is in the movie Don't Be a Menace. Don't Be a Menace is a movie made by the Wayans brothers, like their first movie, and it's a really funny movie. And Bernie Mac is in it, and he's like, never mind. Too hard to explain. He's saying that, like, he's comparing black people to Black Pepper, and he's like a cop, and he's talking about I realize it's way too difficult to explain. I just wanted you to know that I've seen that movie because I'm cool, you know. So I'm cool. I've seen that movie. That's all that was. Because but it's really not that great to be cool. We should really stop. Maybe we should just stop saying the word overall, because it's obviously a go-to easy word. Like, it is cool to say cool, I guess, and everybody has authority over it because we've heard it so many times. It's really easy to say that. Everybody knows what cool is now at this point because of the saturation of the word. But in reality, maybe we should stop saying it because it might be influencing us in ways that we don't even notice. When the word is so, like, under the radar, just part of our vocabulary, everybody's all the time, and we're just using it so flippantly. Like, maybe it just causes us to think that things are supposed to be cool. Like, we should really think about striking that word out of our conversations, or, like, maybe consider more when we're using it. What are we using it for? Because you don't want to be leading yourself down a path where you think that your life needs to be cool, ultimately, because that fucking blows. Why does it blow? Because, like, what is cool about anything? Also, like, yeah, everything's cool, but also it's also horrible. It's also like remember also that it's lame and shitty. Like the rigmarole of life, the difficulties of it, the challenges of it, like that you actually, in order to make something of yourself, have to go out there and do the work, like working and shit. Remember that, like, don't get caught up in a world where everything is like a fantasy. So, yeah, everything's great. Everything, that's kind of more what you're getting into. Maybe you're ignoring that you would have to do things if everything's just cool. Like, oh, cool, yeah, cool, yeah. It's not. Oh god, I hate this part. I'm such a failure at this part every time. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Oh no. Made it, but I'm not gonna make it, ultimately. I won the battle, but I did not win the war. I won the battle, but I didn't win the war. It's like, but I guess that's what happens just in regular conversation when we're all keeping up appearances. It's like, oh nice, yeah. Because having a friend isn't necessarily cool. Like, there's a lot more that goes into a relationship than that it would be cool. But, like, maybe a friendship specifically, like, it's not like having a friend is even cool. Like, having a friends that you have suck sometimes. Like, a lot of friends are like, do I want to hang out with this person? No, of course not. Do I want to hang out with fill in the blank, the person's name, whoever it is you might be thinking of? Because, like, there's different kinds of friends. And not all friends are like, yay, this is really cool that we hung out and whatever. Oh, I'm out of this, but I'm still playing it because I'm confused. Saying there's different kinds of friendships. And for a lot of them, it's like, do I want to hang out with fill in the blank? No, of course not. But, like, why not? Why wouldn't I? Do I really want to spend whatever amount of time with this person? And then you have people in your life that are not so much your friend, but, like, you think about that there's people in your life that they're like cancer. Do you ever have any of those? Somebody in your life that's like cancer? And it's not the person that you'd think it would be either. I'm saying, like, somebody who has the attributes of the disease. That they act like that. It's people who have the quality of turning you against yourself. Or just, like, it's a certain ability to insult you. But I'm saying, like, not people that get under your skin, like, oh, they know you. I'm talking about people that are like cancer for everybody. Like, they are just like that. They have the quality of turning people against themselves. Like, there is probably one or two people in your life that are like that you wouldn't even know. Like, I'm saying it's not the person you would expect, necessarily. It's not like the person that, oh, I hate them, and they're like a cancer to me. I'm saying, like, yeah, well, maybe I'll hang out with you sometimes, but generally, no, I don't want to hang out with you because I don't want to contract cancer. Like, I don't want to feel turned against myself. But I consider that, like, like, if there's somebody that is like cancer, if you hang around with too many people like that, like scientists and ethnobotanists and Hiroshima enthusiasts and disease barkers, they don't. Okay, alrighty. Oh my god, I'm fucked somehow. somehow I am the most fucked at this part, even though I was running a good race before that. Now, and I swear to you, I would not ever not qualify at this many first rounds if I was just focusing on the game. Like, I'm not this much of a loser, certainly. In case you're watching the Twitch stream and watching me not qualifying the first rounds, would never happen if I was not talking, because my focus is very valuable. Like, my ability to focus is just so much relatively better than other people's that, like, it would never result in me failing this many times because of the intensity and ability of my focus. Like, my focus would never let me down otherwise because my focus is so transcendent. Obviously, and that's like, you should know that. It's just that because I'm talking, then I don't have the ability to access the full rewards of my focus. But and so when you consider it, and so when you really think about it, but like, as long as I allow myself to be like everybody else, like, oh, this is just a Twitch stream, obviously this isn't like, nobody needs the full picture of your life or whatever. It's just like, oh, this is a casual, like, this is just, do it like if you were actually talking, like, I mean, if you're just commenting on the game the same way everybody else does, like, as long as it's more like that, then I have the freedom to just say whatever, rather than that I go into the more pressure-packed reality of being something like iconic, or I mean, the more pressure-packed reality of, like, I'm a very special individual with special things to say. You gotta find the balance, and you're not finding that balance when you're like, yeah, out in the world, everybody needs more of my worldly contributions, and so I gotta keep putting it out there. When it's like, when you're, whatever Kevin Hart is doing, it's like, obviously at this point it's just a parody of itself, where we're like, yeah, oh, are you hustling again? That's your whole shtick, that's your whole business, like, that's your whole industry. Is like, what are you doing at this point? You're just doing things for that I am doing them. The guy who does things, it really just has got to end up in a lot of, like, for them, I bet it's fucking horrible. I bet for Kevin Hart, that blows. Because he must have it in his head that he has to be a hero for all these people, when it's like, nobody should be a hero. Nobody is a hero. But I mean, I guess if you're like Kevin Hart, you are actually doing all this shit in reality. Like, you're becoming more real and you are doing the work, then you actually do become something like a hero. Whereas if you're more at the starting line and you haven't proven yourself, like, kind of more like what I am, an unproven commodity in the world, then you really should not be in the business of seeing yourself as a hero to anybody if you haven't, like, if you don't have any sort of authority. But it's like, I question that you would want to be a hero at all, like, make that the thing, because nobody is that. It's just like, be more like everybody else is better, and generationally speaking, that is more the future. Like, that's more what people value going forward, is just kind of like a Twitch stream where you're just casually already doing something you would have already been doing, and then, like, recording it for your own potential gain. Then, I mean, recording yourself in a way that shows that there's nothing wrong with it because it's what you're already doing is what people are trying to capture. You're like, capture trying to convince people that this is really natural, that so much so that it doesn't even matter that it's being recorded because it's so much what was already going on. That's what everybody is trying to capture. That's what Joe Rogan is doing. Like, Joe Rogan is a major influencer in that set of ideas. It's just like, capture this is a conversation we were already having, but it's just like, the future is more and more of that. Like, whoever is best at recording, or like transcending the recorder, so that whatever is being recorded, like, it's like almost like it's not being recorded. But I guess Kevin Hart is on his shit to do what he's doing because he's trying to overcome he's trying to get to the point where he's putting out so much content or doing. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing. It's like all I hear is that, yeah, he's doing all this shit. Like, is he just posting a lot on Instagram? I don't follow them because... And it's sad to me that there are all these people following The Rock that they're, like, actually, like, watching all of his Instagram, like, this guy is an innovator. He's bringing the future to us because he's such a transcendent doer of activities. Like, the guy, because he made lots of posts. But it's like, the more posts you make is the more that you can forget yourself that it's, like, recorded probably. And so what is the end game of that, or the end result? Probably just a lot of unhappiness for your part because there's just such little artistic value in that. You should have some artistic value, I would have thought. Because what does it say about, like, the person at the end of the day? Like, what do you have to say for yourself about the shit that you did, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? When it's just like, yeah, I did more Instagram than everybody else, and lots of people saw it. What do you have to say as a person, like, when you have to answer for that? When you didn't take enough time to consider how horrible you are as an individual. No, you actually, like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is out here thinking he is great 100% of the time. That's why he thinks people need to see more of his face, more of him doing things. That makes it so that I feel like that just makes your self-concept, like, really confused, or, like, it would make things kind of, it's unrealistic. Because, like, now you're living in this parody of yourself world where you're, like, you keep recording yourself. I don't know, there's got to be something dark about it at the end of the day, right? But even if there isn't, it's just like, it's just a horrible artistic message. So for me, it's gross. I don't listen to any Dwayne "The Rock." I don't follow them. I don't know what they're doing. But it's weird that there's all these people that are like, oh, they're watching him to see what's he gonna do next, when his whole shtick is so, like, not actually that interesting. But how much we get? We have 58 or so minutes. What is one of the most interesting things I've been saying, or something I'd want to go back to? Like, I like the word iconic. I like the idea of that. It's an interesting word because it's so identifiable and so one-dimensional. Wow, literally everybody got eliminated. So all I had to do was survive the rhinos, and I would have won. Damn it. Oh well. I like iconic because it presents a philosophical argument where it's like, should you try to be unidentifiable or should you try to be identifiable? That's a question I always have, or continue to have. But if it's identifiable, then it's iconic. Should you try to be it? You really sell out for a character the more iconic you are. Personally, I don't go in the direction of icon. I would rather go in the be lots of different things direction rather than be one thing direction. But I feel like overpopulation, that's... Okay, I have time for one more game here. Overpopulation. I'm saying, like... Yeah, there might be people who act like a cancer, but I was going to make the more profound point, even though this sounds a little bit crazy. that maybe there are people who have the quality of cancer, and then it's like they turn you against yourself enough that it's like over time you are receiving qualities that are bad for you. But it's like dementia is kind of like a cancer of sorts, because your brain cells are, your brain has turned against you, where it's like your brain was functioning at this high level for many years, but then it starts to deteriorate. And like a lot of diseases in your body are like kind of like cancer, because cancer is a vague word to describe negative processes for lots of different kinds of cells in your body. Like it's a vague word describing when your cells go against you. So I'm not saying everything is cancer, but like a lot of things are similar to cancer. Like your brain deteriorates and now you're operating against yourself, where like as long as you have dementia, you're fighting against your own brain. And like that's like now your body or your mind or whatever has been turned against yourself, and now you're fighting it. Like that's really horrible, but that's sort of just what cancer is overall. But I'm saying how like scientists are in today's day and age, or like things I've heard about it recently, leaders in the field of science and hospitals and medicine say things along the lines of like how aging is just kind of flaws that are built up in your cells, like the way that your DNA deteriorates in its ability to code things, or like at some point your DNA gets too much built up plaque or something, and then it starts to go haywire. Like if it accumulates too much crud, if it accumulates too much negativity. Like in today's day and age, I've heard some comments recently from like scientists and doctors that how aging is like just the accumulation of negativity. And so believe that or not, or like believe that to some extent, like aging is the accumulation of negativity. And it's like negative people in your life can give you cancer. If like too much negativity might contribute to an actual disease at some point. In multiple ways, but like if somebody's affecting your mental health. But I mean, I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to sound really ignorant to be like, you're going to get cancer because of the negativity of relationships, potentially. I mean, that just sounds like I'm trying to scare people, really. So why am I saying it at all? And that's something I've been looking at also recently in my life, is like, you know, sometimes I'm just bringing up things that, just for the fun of mentioning them, they're like, oh, that's actually just that really might just scare the people around you. But that's what's going to make you a weirdo, is when you think you have some special tidbit of information, but it's actually just like, stop saying that. People want you to stop saying that around them because it makes them uncomfortable. Like, oh, this is just fucking retarded right now. This is my favorite part in this entire game, going through the moving... Oh, thanks for glitching. Because I'm so good at that part. I like this part a lot too. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, though. You gotta be fucking kidding me, though. Oh, you've gotta be fucking kidding me. Well, I didn't know God hated me this much to make me not qualify for the second round at this. But I wanted to say about overpopulation that I think you might actually want to worry more about nature taking us back over than that we get too many people. But like, too many people is such an obvious narrative that it's like, that could never even happen. And I know I'm speaking out of turn, because there's a lot of people think, well, overpopulation is a real problem, or whatever it is. It's just like such an obvious narrative that I really don't think that's gonna happen. You really have to watch out for the narratives that, like, you're not expecting. That's always the case. You really have to watch out for the ones that nobody was anticipating. Like, watch out for nature. Nature is always trying to take us back over. And we let dogs into our lives, for example, and they really needle us. Like, they really capture our imagination and capture our attention in a very peculiar way, do dogs. And it's just kind of like we're a little bit hypnotized by this particular animal, and that is to say that they are more imaginative or more intelligent than you would maybe consider on the surface. Dogs themselves, like, but we often get into the territory where we think animals are so stupid that they aren't ever like collectivizing in any way, or there's not like they don't communicate to each other in their own way like we do. When it's like, if you really think about it, different animals are just kind of are still competitors to us. What if it's the case that we as monkeys rising to be the predominant species, maybe we have a cycle, and maybe what if our cycle as monkeys is ending and then a different animal rises up? Like what happened during the course of evolution, during the history of evolution anyway, that has already happened. There have been different kinds of species that are the most dominant at different times. You should watch out for nature, but like there's shit like that where you see that we do like to allow ourselves be consumed by nature in certain ways. Like we let ourselves be overgrown by animals that are just from nature, but also birds are flying around everywhere. And like Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds is a picture of that fear that does exist, where it's like you can go into that because it does exist. If you think about it, like birds could all start ganging up, or like, and they probably won't, and obviously now I'm just sounding like a lunatic. Like, they're not going to gang up. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, you should birds as a species, or like just in general as like more intelligent, where you see that like maybe they do communicate to each other, or they want, or they hate the man, like they hate the establishment. But like I saw some turkeys in the road the other day, and they were like attacking cars. They were just in the middle of traffic on this busy road in Columbus, and they were attacking people's cars, and people were honking at them. They weren't getting out of the way, and it's just like in the middle of this busy neighborhood in the city of Columbus. And this woman had to come out. This woman came out of nowhere, and she just started like clapping at them to get them out of the road, and then she disappeared back into whatever cave she crawled out of. But what I'm saying is that it's interesting how humanity has mechanisms like this in place, where we are deterring birds, literally, just with like our inventions and shit. Like, we do kind of compete with them, or like, but what I'm saying is there is a certain segment of humanity, I guess, that speak bird, like this crazy woman who came out and was like squawking at these turkeys like she was one. It's like there's enough people, like, we are refuting the disease of birds actively as a species, as humanity, because it's like part of our immune system, where we have certain humans that'll take care of the birds to get them out of our way, so that we can keep abiding by our own standards, or whatever. And like, if there weren't those people, then certain animals would would move in more on our territory, or like, so we're actively refuting all these animals. But the main point I want to say in accordance with this argument is just that, like, people are smoking weed a lot more, and weed tells people things. You're influenced differently on that, and it has certain messages for you, and the messages are basically that, like, plants are amazing, and do more plants, smoke more weed, and people are smoking more of it. But it's kind of like being overgrown by nature more. Like, is this really, really great direction to go, or is weed hypnotizing us to become more like plants? Like, there's something nefarious about it, where we're like, what if humans just become subsumed by nature? I think that is just as much, if not more so. I'd say that's a bigger worry than overpopulation. Is like, why wouldn't it be the case that an alien civilization arrives here 1,000 years from now, and what they happen upon are like species that used to be very on its game, on top of its shit, but now is kind of like hybridizing itself with nature, where like nature is subsuming us. That's a possibility to consider, but all right. I believe I did it, and I thank you for listening for Twitch stream or the podcast, whichever one. I will continue to do this at least till 100, but maybe a lot more. I don't know. But thanks. Talk to you all later on. Goodbye.